Hello, my dear students. Myself, Dr. Pitambar Umne, founder Botany for You, and working as Associate Professor and Head Department of Botany, Dharampet MP Dev Memorial Science College, Nagpur, Maharashtra, India. Once again, I welcome you all in this lecture series on Angiosperm taxonomy, organized by Botany for You, an online platform for the students of life sciences. Today, we are going to see 13th lecture in this lecture series on plant nomenclature. In Angiosperm taxonomy, the plant nomenclature is very much important because there are many rules and the regulation in different nomenclature of the plants. So, this lecture will be very much important for the students of UG, PG as well as the researchers who are engaged in their research in Angiosperm taxonomy. So, in this lecture, we will cover the different topics which includes the definition or the meaning of plant nomenclature, then types of names, that is common or vernacular names. Second one, international or the scientific names which are in use today. And the next one topic, that is citation of author's name. There are various regulations in the citation that we will see. Then International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, in which we will see the principles of ICBN, then rank and ending of taxa, typification, principles of priority, nomenclature of cultivated plants or cultivars, then nomenclature of hybrids, then group and grex, and some basic definitions related to nomenclature. And you are very much aware about that these different topics are already included in the syllabi of Indian universities in the paper Angiosperm taxonomy. So, this will be very much helpful in your preparation for the examination in UG as well as the PG. So, first of all, what is nomenclature? In last class, we have seen the identification, and at that time I told you how the nomenclature is different than that of the identification. So, if we see the definition of the nomenclature, then it is an art of naming object which deals with the determination of a correct name to a known plant or to a known taxon. Or in other words, we can say the assignment of definite names to plant is called plant nomenclature. And the third one, that is the nomenclature, is a precise and simple system used by botanists that deals with the term denoting the ranks of taxonomic groups and with the scientific names that are applied to the individual taxonomic groups. The scientific names of taxon is a word or combination of words by which it is known. Now, we are very much familiar about the different names of the plants that may the common name or vernacular name or the botanical names. Today, we have the binomial system of the nomenclature, and in which we know there are the two names to each plant. That is, one is the generic name and second one is a specific name, and it is now in a use. So this is nothing but the system to provide the name to the plant, and that is nothing but the plant nomenclature. But whenever we are providing the name to the particular plant, if it is new and not existed or not recorded earlier, then there are the many rules and regulations which are framed by International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature that we have to follow. So whenever we are talking about the different names of the plants, then on the basis of their use, they are classified into the two major categories. That is the common or vernacular names, and the second one international or the scientific names. If you see the any common name or the vernacular name, they are basically given for the easiest communication at the local level, and hence these common names or the vernacular names are even considered as a local names. But whenever we are talking about the communication among the large people in the national level or the international level, then there is necessity to have the particular system to give the name to the organism, and that should be similar in each and every part of the world. And this type of the system is now developed to identify the particular plants which are available in nature, and that is the international or the scientific names. So we will see this both the system of the names. First one, that is common or the vernacular names. Here the names which are locals, by the locals, for the locals, in local dialects. Means whenever we are talking about the peoples, they are concerned with the environment, then the plants are used for the different uses by such common peoples, like the medicines, furnitures, and even in many ways like the nutraceutical, food plants, vegetables, etc. So for the communication, many names are given for their identification at the local level, and such a type of the names which are given by the local people for their communication are nothing but the common or the vernacular names. But if we see the languages which are spoken in the different parts of the nation or different parts of the world, then we will find there are thousands of languages, and hence it is possible to have these several names to one single plant in a different languages, or even it is possible to have the same name to the different plants. So such type of the possibility is there in case of the common names. Then second one, that is these names are given by the local people for the identification and communication, and this is the main reason that everyone, whenever using the plant, there is necessity to identify the particular organism or the particular plant, and this is for what? For the communication. And hence here the peoples has given the different names to the local plants by the local people. Then exposed to the limited audience and limited territorial coverage. These names which are given by the local peoples are for the local area, because the particular area is covered for such type of the language, and hence its audience for such type of the local names is limited, and in other parts of the area there may be different name. So this is one of the disadvantage of the common or the vernacular name. Then no any rules for the common or the vernacular names. There is no any rule regarding to provide the common or the vernacular name to the plant body. Hence, as per the convenience, the local people giving the names to the plant with their convenience for the identification. Then more than one common name to the same plant in different languages or territories, or even in the same territory or the language, and even the same name to the unrelated plants also. So these are the disadvantages of the common or the vernacular names, which may create the confusion among the different plants having the same name or the many names to the same plant. This means the presence of many synonyms to the same plant in same or other languages also, and hence it is not possible to use such type of the common or the vernacular names at a national level or international level, and hence to overcome such type of the difficulties for the communication about the name of the plant for their correct identification, the new system is generated by the different authors or the workers in the plant taxonomy or the botany, and that is known as international or the scientific names. Now these scientific names are for the international communication, and they are responsible to omit all the demerits or the confusion that we have seen earlier regarding the vernacular or the common names. These are again classified into three different subtypes on the basis of their use in a earlier period. So first one, that is a polynomial system. Earlier there were the many names to each plant, and about the middle of 18th century the names of plants used to have comprised of several words or the epithets, and hence it is considered as a polynomial system because more than two names were used, 4, 5, etc. Then for example, the George Bentham used the name that is Caryophyllum Folis Gramineus Umbellatus Corymbus, and this represent Caryophyllum with the grass-like leaves and flowers in umbellate corymbs. So such a big name were given earlier, which is made up of 5 different words. So such a type of the system giving a long name with the different words with its particular meaning of the plant characteristics, and that was considered as a polynomial system. Later on, this polynomial system is changed into the trinomial system, that the name of the plant is made up of 3 different names. That is, in this system of the nomenclature, each plant represented by 3 names, and out of these 3 names, the first name is of the genus, second name is of the species, and third name subspecies. So in this way, in a trinomial nomenclature or the trinomial system of the nomenclature, each plant were represented by 3 different names, means the combination of the name of the genus, name of the species, and name of the subspecies, and hence it is known as the trinomial system of the nomenclature. In the third type, that is binomial system of the nomenclature, and this is very much important for the students of UG as well as the PG. In this system, the Caspar Bohin, that is 1560 to 1624, and Rivinus 1623, used a system of nomenclature in which the name of a plant consists of two words. Nowadays that we are following, which is made up of the generic name and specific epithet. So this include the generic name and a specific epithet. So such a type of the nomenclature of the plants having the two names, of which the first one is the generic name and the second one is a specific epithet, and that is known as binomial system of the nomenclature. Means every plant must possess two names, hence it is known as the binomial nomenclature. In this binomial system of the nomenclature, if we see the history, so later on the Carl Linnaeus, who is considered as a father of taxonomy, was the first to use the binomial system of nomenclature and even changed his own name from the Carl von Linné to the Carl Linnaeus. On this basis, you can imagine the passion of Linnaeus towards the plants or the taxonomy based on binomial system of the nomenclature, and hence today we are aware with his name as a Carl Linnaeus. He proposed the same rules related to the binomial nomenclature in Fundamenta Botanica in 1736, in Critica Botanica in 1737, Philosophia Botanica in 1751, and later on in Species Plantarum in 1753 and Systema Naturae in 1758, which are still in use for the different angiosperm taxonomic work. This binomial system of the nomenclature employed for the first as a whole in Species Plantarum, and in this way from 1753 we are using the binomial system of the nomenclature, and till today the same system of the nomenclature is in a existence or in a use in a whole world for the communication about the organisms. This binomial system of the nomenclature, as we said, the first name is a generic name and the second one as a specific name. So there are the certain regulations which are framed by the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. Instead of giving this under the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, we have kept this topic in a nomenclature and hence given separately. But then also, for your better understanding, I have mentioned here the article numbers in which this is included in the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. So what says the generic names? It is always a noun and written with a capitalized initial letter. Say for example, if we see the name of the plant, that is hibiscus. So hibiscus is a name of the genus which is initiated with the capital letter, and the remainder small that we have written here, the rest are in the small letter. Then the generic name is always singular in number. So this is about the name of the genus. If we see the other regulations with respect to the name of the genus, then it is the several generic names may be in honor of the names of well-known persons. So, for example, Theophrasta and Candolia, these are the names of the genera. Theophrasta is based upon the name of well-known botanist Theophrastus, who is known to the world as a father of botany. And even another person from the taxonomy, that is A.P. de Candolle, and on his name there is another genus, that is Candolia. And in this way, on the basis of the name of well-known persons in the subject or the authors, that is to be used for the generic names. They may be descriptive with reference to some common characteristics of the included species. Means if there is a uniform character in that particular genus with respect to the rest of the species, then that character should be reflected by the name of the genus also. For example, the Cercocarpus means here Cercocarpus, Cerco means the coiled, carpus means the food. Hence, Cercocarpus is a plant bearing the coiled fruits, and hence it is given as a generic name. The another example, Xanthoxylum. Xantho means yellow and xylem means the wood. So, Xanthoxylum is the another name for the genus which show the presence of yellow wood. The third type, that may be the poetic or mythological in origin. For example, Theobroma, and the meaning of Theobroma is God's food. So, such type of the mythological origins or even the poetic origins names of the genus are there. Then they may also be aboriginal name of the plants. Means if we see some certain plants were named earlier and the same name we have to use in giving the generic name. Such type of the condition or the system is known as aboriginal. For example, Betula and Quercus, which were the old Greek names from the birch and the oak. So, in this way, even certain common names were also used to provide as a generic name. In addition to this, if we see the second name of the plant, that is specific epithet, and this specific epithet is often an adjective, and according to article 23 of ICBN, a specific epithet should be a name in honor of a person, just like to earlier, that is the generic name. Even the specific epithets are also in honor of the persons or the well-known taxonomists, or even the other persons also, depending upon the author who is representing or publishing that paper or the plant. Say for example, here the Croton species is based upon the name of the late Dr. V.N. Naik sir, Croton naikiana. So, such type of there are different names. Then it may be derived from geographical location also. If you see the Azadi recta indica, so this indicate the place. So, such type of the geographical location is also indicated by the specific epithet. Then originated from an old common name. if the certain plant was famous with the common name, even such type of the common names are also used in providing the specific epithet. It may derive from some characteristics of the plants. See, for example, Nigra means black in color. So, such type of the many things or the many words are there, which we will see in the next slide, and even named arbitrarily. So, we can say that such type of the different names which are given to the particular plant, and these are based upon the different facts or the different regulations which are framed by ICBN. So, we will see here how the different name of the specific epithets are used with their different meanings. Here, aphylla means the leafless, alba means the white, aquatic means in water, oriens means the golden, borealis means northern, then cerifera means the wax bearing, coccinus means scarlet flowers, communis gregarious, decumbent recline, dulcis that is sweet, edulis means edible, foetida means ill scented, then flutans means the floating, grandiflora means large flowered, humilis means the dwarf, linearis means with the narrow or linear leaves, then magnus means the large, minutus very small, mexicana of Mexico, then nigra means black, acrylicus means yellowish white, purpureus means purple, polustis of marshes, repens means creeping, rara means rare, rosea means rose colored. Then serrata means with the serrate margin, scaposus means having a scape, salcatus means the furrowed, tridentate with the 3 spines, tenacious means the slender or tender, terrestris means growing in a dry soil, tuberosus means bearing the tubers, uncinatus means the hooked, virens means the green, viridis again green, volusinus means velvety, and gelanicus of Ceylon. So, on this basis, we can easily find out the meaning of the different specific epithets. So, there are such many names in use that are responsible to show the characteristics of that particular species. Then the third one aspect of the binomial system of the nomenclature, and that is the citation of author's name, and this citation of author's name is included in article 46 to 50 of International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. In the citation of author's name include the name of the species is incomplete if it is not followed by full or abbreviated name or names of the author or authors. For example, Annona squamosa, in which here the Annona is the name of the genus and the squamosa is a name of the species. If we write this only Annona squamosa, then this name is not complete. Instead of that, Annona squamosa L, that is a complete name, and this L indicate the name of the discoverer of this plant who first published with its scientific name, and that is the abbreviation for the Linnaeus. So, when we have to write the annona scamosa and then L, so such a type of the names with the citation of the author is only the correct name. Then if the two persons have named a plant together, many times the two workers work together and they publish any plant or their work. In such a situation, we have to join their name by it or and. For example, the Antigonon leptopus discovered by Hooker and Arnold, and hence here the and is given in between their names. But when a name is proposed by one author and not validly published, and the second author has it published validly at the latter date and ascribed it to the former author. In this case, the name of the former author followed by the word X should be inserted before the name of the second author. For example, the Cassia montana, which was first published by the Hine, but it was not the valid publication, but later on Roth published it validly, and hence here this name is joined with it with the X. So in this way, again there is a republication authority as a citation of the author. Then when a name proposed, described and diagnosed by one author is published in the work of another, the two names of the two authors linked together by the word in. For example, Hygrophila salicifolia given by the Wall Niece in Wall means the publication of the Wall, and it is given by the Niece, but earlier it was published by the Wall. Then Euonymus indicus, that is Hine X Wall, and they published in the Roxburghs. In next method, that is when a taxon below the rank of the genus is transformed to another taxon. A genus or the taxon of lower rank is altered in rank but remains its original epithet, and double citation are used in such a type of the cases. For example, the genus Malvia rosea, which was first published by the Linnaeus. Then Cavanilles placed it in the distinct genus, that is Althea, and hence it is now known Althea rosea. Means here the species which was given by the Linnaeus is retained in the new genus as a Rothia, and hence here the name of the Linnaeus is given in the bracket as a first authority, which was validly published by the Cav. So in this way, here there is a citation of author's name in the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, and which is used in the binomial nomenclature system. So in addition to this, again there are the many rules in this regard in case of the generic name, specific epithet, and even the citation of author's name. But to provide each and everything about the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature is beyond the scope of this lecture, and hence mostly the important points are taken in this lecture. Then International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. Usually there is a question on this topic for the UG as well as the PG. If we see the history of the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, then you will find that the Linnaeus in 1737 and again in 1751 proposed the elementary rules of the naming plants in his Philosophia Botanica. Means here the introduction of the rules and regulation in the botany was first efforts, and it was by the Linnaeus. Then later on, A.P. de Candolle in 1813 set forth a detailed set of the rules regarding the plant nomenclature. Means the same system of the nomenclature which were given by the Linnaeus was again given by the A.P. de Candolle. And later on, the A.P. de Candolle and his son Alphonse de Candolle evolved the same rules of the Linnaeus, and now these rules which were given by the Linnaeus are known as International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. Means we can say that here this International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature that is today with us, and that is because of the efforts put by the Linnaeus earlier. Alphonse de Candolle in 1867 first time convened an International Botanical Congress in Paris, and subsequent meetings were held in 1892, 1905, 1907, 1910 and 1930, etc. And the Lawrence in 1951 has discussed the detailed history of the code and may be quoted that in 1930 at the Cambridge Congress, and the first time in the botanical history a code of nomenclature came into existence, which was International Code in function as well as in the name. And the recent International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, that is ICBN Vienna Code 2016, embodied the decision of the 17th International Botanical Congress held in Vienna. This code consists of 3 different divisions, and in this way the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature came into existence. And because of that, now whenever we are talking about the rules and regulation regarding the nomenclature or any other things in the subject, that are everything is mentioned, and time to time it is amended in different botanical congress organized by International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. So now this ICBN is divided into broadly 3 different divisions. That is the division 1, which is related with that of the principles of International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. Second division is regarding the rules and recommendations, and the division 3 is related to the provisions for the governance of code. First one, that is the first division of International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, which includes the principles of International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature. This principles includes the 6 different principles. The first one is botanical nomenclature is independent of zoological and bacteriological nomenclature. Means here there are the separate nomenclature for the name of the plants, name of the animals and name of the bacteria, and hence these 3 different system of the nomenclature are independent to each other. The code applies equally to the names of taxonomic groups treated as a plant whether or not these groups were originally so treated. And in this way, here there are the different names to each taxa in the different categories. The second principle is the application of names of taxonomic groups is determined by means of nomenclatural types. In angiosperm taxonomy, there are many types or the nomenclatural types that we will see in the same lecture in later slides. So, here also these taxonomic names or the application of these names are related to that of the taxonomic groups which are determined by a particular nomenclatural types. The third principle, that is the nomenclature of the taxonomic group, is based upon the priority of the publication. Priority of the publication means who published validly first time that plant or the organism, and that is given in a principles of priority also that we will see just after this one. The fourth principle, that each taxonomic group with a particular circumscription, position and rank can bear only one correct name. The earliest, that is in accordance with the rules except in specified cases. So, in this way, each plant is provided with a single correct names, and there are many rules and regulation regarding the such type of the names, and according to it the rest of the names will be synonyms. The fifth one is scientific names of the taxonomic group are treated as a Latin regardless of their derivation, and many of the names are from the Latin words. So, they represent the certain meanings of the name of the taxa. And the sixth one principle of the ICBN is the rules of the nomenclature are retroactive unless expressed limited. Means whatever the condition or the date of the principle or the regulation, it is always will be effective from the date back. Means it will be binding and applicable to everyone and everywhere, and not from the date of its implementation or the recommendation, and hence it is said that these nomenclature are the retroactive. Then the second division of the ICBN, that is rules and recommendations, and these rules and recommendations are mentioned in the article 1 to 62 of ICBN. The first one, that is ranks and ending of taxa. Usually this topic is included in the BSc as well as the MSc syllabus. Ranks is nothing but the position in a taxonomic classification, and the ending of taxa means the particular taxa is end with a particular word or the letters, and that are given means the regulations regarding the rank and ending of taxa is given in article 1 to 5. Here there are the different ranks of the taxa, then ending of the ranks about the genus, and the different examples. If we see the total number of ranks in angiosperm taxonomy, then you will find that here there are 22 total ranks, and out of these 22 total ranks, the ending of taxa is applied to the 11 ranks or the first 11 ranks. Say for example, the division, which is the rank, must be end with the phyta. Say for example, Pteridophyta, Magnoliophyta. So this phyta indicate the name of the division. Then subdivision end with the phytina, that is Pteridophytina. Then class should be end with the Opsida, that is the Pteridopsida, Magnoliopsida, etc. Subclass should be end with the Opsidae, that is Pteridopsidae. Order should be end with the ALES, that is Parieteles, Asterales. Suborder with the INEAE, that is Rossini. Then family should be end with the ACEAE, for example the Brassicaceae, Asteraceae. Then subfamily Oidae, that is Papilionoidae, Mimosoidae. Then tribe end with the EAE, that is the Rosae. Then subtribe end with the INAE, that is the Rossini. And the last one, that is the genus, which should be end with the US, A, UM, ON, ES, etc. For example, hibiscus end with the US and Brassica end with the CA. So in this way, there are the different ranks and the ending of the taxa. Below the genus, there are some other ranks, that is the subgenus, section, then subsection, series, subseries, species, subspecies, variety, subvariety, forms and subforms. So such type of the total 22 ranks are given in the Angiosperm taxonomy. The second one, that is in the second division, and that is typification. In typification, there are the 7 different types or the nomenclatural types, in which the first one, that is a holotype, and the holotype is a single specimen chosen by the author for a new taxon to which the original description is based. So whenever we are talking about the publication of any author, at that time, if that person selected one of the specimen as a original one for its description, then that specimen which is original is considered as a holotype. Say for example, if the author has the specimen in 3 to 4 copies, of which he has used this first one as a original one for the taxonomic description during the publication. So this one will be considered as a holotype. Second one is a isotype, or even it is also known as cotype, and it is said that it is a duplicate of the holotype. Now these different specimens which were collected at the same time when the original was collected, but of which the one was denoted as a original, and that is the holotype. But rest of the specimens which are nothing but its duplicate, and hence it is known as the isotype or the cotype. And even in 1942 used the name, that is cotype, of the duplicate holotypes, and instead of the isotype, Ivan has given the name, that is the cotype, and hence here the isotype and cotype are the alternative words. Then third one type, that is syntype, and it is one of the 2 or more specimens or elements used by the author when no holotype was designated, or in lieu of the holotype, or when one of the 2 or more specimens was designated simultaneously as the type. Means if the person or the author having the specimens, but out of that he has not considered any holotype or not designated any holotype, and in such cases here these specimens are considered as a syntype. The fourth one, that is lectotype, and in this a specimen or other element selected from original material to serve as nomenclatural type when no holotype was designated. Means here, if there is a specimen from the original collection, but at that time the holotype was not designated, in such cases at the time of publication, instead of the holotype, here if there are some specimens, and such type of the specimens in absence of the holotype are considered as a lectotype. The next one, that is fifth one, nomenclatural type, is paratype, and it is a single specimen other than holotype, isotype studied and cited by founding author at the time of describing new taxa. Means, say for example, if the author have represented one of the specimen, but which is not the holotype and not the isotype. In such a condition, if the specimen is used by the author for describing this new taxa, then that specimen is considered as a paratype. The sixth nomenclatural type is a neotype, and if the holotype, isotype, paratype, syntype are lost or not available, a neotype is selected from other specimens to serve as type. Means, when there are the many types, but out of that all these different nomenclatural types are lost or even they are not available, in such a situation one of the specimen is selected and that is considered as a neotype. This is not a real type, but it is a specimen chosen to serve as a standard reference point. As this is not a real type or the real specimen of the author, but then also it is considered as a standard reference. So such type of the specimen is considered as a neotype. The last one, nomenclatural type, and that is a topotype, and it is a specimen of a named taxon collected usually later from the original type, locally or from the area from which the species was described. Say for example, if earlier there were the specimens in the form of the holotype, isotype, paratype, neotype, etc. But if such type of the specimens are not available, and in such a situation, if the another specimen is collected from where these specimens were collected, means from the same location, or the same plant is collected from the other location, then such a type of the specimens are known as topotypes. So in this way there are 7 different nomenclatural types in angiosperm taxonomy. Then the third one, that is principles of priority, and which is mentioned in articles 11 to 15 of International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. Here, for example, if we see the Aesculus Linnaeus in 1753, Pavia given by the Mill in 1754, and Macrothyrsus Spath 1834, then Calothyrsus by Spath in 1834 are referred to a single genus. See now, these four different name of the genera were later on found that they are all same. But out of that, the earliest publication was in 1753 and it was by Linnaeus, and hence its now the name is Ursulus, which is given by Linnaeus. So we can say that here the first priority goes to the author who published first name in his publication. The second one example, that is the Cleome gynandra, which was published by the Linnaeus in 1753. Himself changed this Cleome gynandra to Cleome pentaphylla again in the 1753, but De Candolle in 1822 split it into three different genera, namely Cleome, Polynesia and Gynandropsis, and Linnean genus given as a Cleome pentaphylla. Now, it is in 1960 merged Gynandropsis and Cleome into the Cleome. So, in such a situation, if we see the first publication, then we will find that it was in 1753, and hence here the valid name in today is the Cleome gynandra for this particular plants. Then name of the plants in cultivation in cultivars or the cultivars, which are mentioned in article 28. Here the cultivated names not written in italics. Earlier we have seen the botanical names, for example hibiscus, Rosa sinensis. So this is botanical name. If it is handwritten, then it should be the underline, and if it is typed, then it should be in italics. This is a rule of the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, in which the first letter of the generic name is in the capital and the first letter of the specific epithet is in the small letter. But when we are using the names of the plants in a cultivation or the cultivars, then there is no necessity to use it in the italics. Then start with the capital letters. The name of the plants of the cultivation in the cultivation can be start with the capital letter, then placed in within a single quotation mark. These names should be single quotation mark and preceded by a abbreviation CV, that is indicated for the cultivation. For example, the Malva sylvestris CV means the cultivated, that is Primle blue, means this is the name for the cultivated plant, and originally it is the species, that is the Malva sylvestris. Then Rosa floribunda, cultivated blessings. Sometimes the CV is even deleted also, means there is no necessity to write the CV. For example, the Dendrobium bigibbum, that is the cultivation variety, is a compactum. So just it is given in the single quotation mark, and here there is no need to write the CV. Then Epipremum pinnatum and the cultivation name is Aureum. So in this way, either with the CV or without CV, we can write the names of the plants in the cultivation. Then cultivar names do not change with the change of the binomial name to which it is attached. If there is any change in the botanical name, scientific name, international name or the binomial name, then also there will not be any change in the name of the plants in cultivation. It remains same. Then sixth one, that is must not be the same as botanical or the common name or the genus or the name of the species. Means the names which we are giving to the particular plants in the cultivation should not be identical with the name of the genus or name of the species or even the common name, so that the confusion will not be increased because of the new cultivated varieties. Then with the specific epithet, the cultivar names should not be repeated within a genus. Even for the same species, for the genus, the name of the cultivated plants should not be repeated, because even it will create the confusion among the two different cultivated plants, and hence always there will be the different names to the cultivated plants of each species within a genus. The fifth one, that is the name of the hybrid plants. That is the hybrid of the Erica ciliaris and Erica tetralix. Means here only the change in the name of the species, that is there is hybrid of the two different species, that is the interspecific. So here these two names are joined with the cross, that is Erica watsoni. So this is the plant which is generated from the hybrid of Erica ciliaris and Erica tetralix. Then the second one, that is Drosera pulcherella, that is crossed with the Drosera nitidula. So this is also one of the system to write the name of the hybrid plant with the help of cross sign. In some other species like the Verbascum lignite and Verbascum nigrum, and its hybrid variety is given the name Verbascum cross nigra lignites. So here nigrum and the lignites both are combined here, and hence it is known as the nigra lignite, and this cross sign indicates that it is a name of the hybrid. Then in case of the intergeneric names, that is Mahonia equifolium crossed with the Barbaris sargentiana, when is written, it is initiated by the cross sign, and the name of these two intergeneric cross becomes now the Mahobarbaris aquisargenti. So see now here the name of the genus is also a combination of the name of the hybrid genus, and even the name of the species in this hybrid are again the combination of the parents involved in this hybrid. So in this way, here this cross which is present before the name of the genus in the hybrid indicates it is a hybrid. Then again in other case like the intergeneric cross Couperia and Zephyranthes, so hybrid plant is known as the Couperanthes, and which is initiated with the cross sign. So in this way Here again the next example, that is the citrus poincerus, which is hybrid named as the cross sign with the citroncerus. So again it is a combination of the genus which are involved in this formation of the hybrid. Then next one, that is Laburnum and cystisus. So here if you see, there is addition of the plus sign, and this type of the plus sign is added in case of the hybrids of the variety. So first time we have seen the hybrids of the interspecies, then in case of the genera, and then the varieties. So depending upon here, if there is an involvement of the species, there is a use of the cross sign in between these two words. If it is a intergeneric, then the cross sign is used before the words, and if there is a breeding for the formation of the hybrid, then it should be denoted as a plus sign. So here the Laburnum and cystisus is given the new name, that is the Loburnocystus. So such type of the name is given with the plus sign. Then the another example, that is Rosa baebiana plus Rosa floribunda. So this is again the new variety which is developed by the combination of the two. So in such a cases, for the development of such new varieties, here the one plant is considered as a stock and another plant is sticked or placed on it by means of the grafting for the development of the new variety. And hence here this sign of the plus is given because here the one plant is added in the another plant. Then here the rules and recommendations, in which the next part is the group and the Greeks. This is also in relation to that of the plants in the cultivation or the development of the hybrids. Say for example, if you see the groups, then a lot of cultivars developed from a single genus or a species due to improper selection or many more breedings, here are collectively known as the groups. Means whenever there is a crossing or the breeding or the improper selection, there will be the formation of many cultivars, and such type of the cultivars or the cultivated plants are denoted or known as the groups, and when used in a conjunction with a cultivar name is enclosed in a bracket. So this is in case of the group, that is the first bracket. For example, the Actia simplex, that is Atropurpurea group, that is, and Brannate is a name of the cultivation, is a distinct cultivar within a group of purple-leaved cultivars. So such a type of the plants which are developing with the many variations among them during the breeding or the improper selection are collectively considered as a group. The another term, that is a Greeks, and the literal meaning of the Greeks is nothing but the flock in the Latin. And if you see a hybrid that cover all the offsprings obtained from that particular cross, or even though they may be very different from each other, but their parents are same. The word Greeks is abbreviated as G. For example, Pleon Shantung, then abbreviated as a G. This indicates that it is a Greeks. Means no doubt these are the organisms having the number of variations, but they are developed from the same stock or same parents. It is a well-known Greeks of hardly terrestrial orchids. whereas Pleonshang G, that is Muriel Harbord, is a particularly good cultivar selected from the Greeks. But later on, here again, that is Muriel Harbord is given in the single quote, and such type of the names are in the cultivated variety. So in this way, even when there is a generation of the many plants with a little variations during the breeding experiments or the improper selection, or even with a many differences but of the same parents or generated from the same parent or the same stock, they are known as group or the Greeks respectively. Then the third division of the ICBN, and that is the provision of governance of the code, which is again classified into the different divisions, that is 4 divisions, which include the first division, that is the code may be modified by action of plenary session of International Botanical Congress on a resolution moved by the nomenclature section of that Congress. Means if there is need of any modification, there will be the recommendations from the nomenclature section of that Congress, and in this way, through that recommendation, there is a provision for the modification of certain code. Then in second division, it is given that the permanent nomenclature committee are established under the auspices of the International Association for the Plant Taxonomy. There are the different committees for the nomenclature of the different groups like the algae, fungi, bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperms also. And these committees are consistently working for the different names or the botanical names all over the world. The third one, that is the formation of the Bureau of the Nomenclature of the International Botanical Congress. So here there is again the formation of the bureaus for the different international congresses, so that frequently within after 5 years there is a organization of such type of the botanical congress, and in it all the decisions are taken. Then fourth one, that is voting on a nomenclatural proposals. If there are any suggestions, recommendations, in such a cases there is a voting, and again there are the many rules and the regulations how the implementation of the voting in support or in oppose, that is to be counted. So in this way there is a complete provision of the governance of the code with the International Code of the Botanical Nomenclature, even for its any modification or any change in the regulations with respect to the suggestions or the recommendations. So these are some of the basic definitions related to nomenclature, and usually these are asked in the examination in UG as well as the PG. First one, that is synonyms. These are different names for the same plant which is rejected name due to the wrong application or difference in the taxonomic judgment. For example, Chilocarpus mulbaricus Bed and Hunteria artovirens DC are the synonyms because they were rejected, and the accepted name, that is the Chilocarpus atrovirens, and hence here the Chilocarpus mulbaricus and Hunteria atrovirens are the synonyms. The second one, that is the basionym, and when a species is described in one genus but transferred to another later, the specific epithet, if legitimate, should be retained. For example, Terminalia bellerica, Gärtner Then Roxburgh in 1805 having the basionym that is Myrobalanus bellerica. Means here this name of the specific epithet is retained, that is Terminalia bellerica, but now it was earlier given that the Myrobalanus bellerica. So in this way here this bellerica name is retained from the Myrobalanus bellerica. So such type of the names are known as basionyms. The third one, that is the homonyms. When the two or more identical names are given based on the different type specimens. We have seen the different nomenclatural types, and if there are the different nomenclatural types, and in such cases if two or more identical names are given, then they are homonyms, and the earliest published or the amongst these is a legitimate and should be the retained. And according to the principle of priority, the earliest name will be accepted if it is legitimate. For example, Centranthera indica, which was first time given by the Gamble, and it was first published by the Linnaeus in 1924. If shifted to Limnophila, cannot be named as Limnophila indica, means the change of the name of the genus but to retain the name of the species. But in this case, regarding the Centranthera, it is not possible to provide the name as a Limnophila indica, because already there is a presence of another species, that is Limnophila indica. And because of this, here the Limnophila indica is already the name. Such a type of the names are given as a homonyms, and hence now the Limnophila indica or the Centranthera indica, these are the homonyms, or the Centranthera indica is considered as a homonym for the Limnophila indica. Then the fourth one, that is the tautonyms, and it is an illegitimate binomial where the generic name and specific epithet are exactly the same. Say for example here Sassafras sassafras. So here in this case it is a tautonym and therefore rejected name, because here both the generic and specific names are the same. So such a type of the names are known as the tautonyms, and these are the rejected names. Then the fifth one is nomen nudum, and it is a name without description and so could be rejected. In some cases, the names are nomenclaturally superfluous, that is published as a substitute for a already published legitimate name. For example, Sassafras triloba was a superfluous name for the Laurus sassafras, and therefore it is rejected. Such a type of the rejected names are considered as a nomen nudum. So in this way, here we can use the different terms in relation to that of the nomenclature in Angiosperm taxonomy. So the different contents of this lecture were taken from the different books of the Angiosperm taxonomy, and these topics were covered from the different Indian universities from the Angiosperm taxonomy paper. So I am very much hopeful and confident that this lecture will be helpful to you in preparation of your examination. If you are happy, then you can kindly like, share and subscribe our YouTube channel, and also press bell icon for the alerts of every lecture to be uploaded on Life Sciences titles. Thank you very much for your watching and kind support. Thanks a lot.